Can you hear me now? Namaskar. Greetings to all. I hope you all are doing fine. Hello, Siddharth. The concept is very simple. There is one consciousness that is the source and substance of everything. Knowing of that is freedom. Feel free to ask questions or let me know what would you like me to talk about. Okay, first question is how one can know consciousness? Well, the idea is that bringing yourself here and now to whatever is happening with total acceptance brings about the knowledge of consciousness. Till there is a movement of attraction or aversion, clinging to the polaric opposites, that aspect remains hidden. So the acceptance of duality actually brings up non-duality. It can be done through self-inquiry, to the question of who am I, what is my true nature, or it can also happen through the path of surrender, where I totally accept that everything is happening according to cosmic law, or the way universe designed the entire thing. These two paths, they may seem different, but actually the culmination point is one and the same. Eventually both lead to surrender only. So the answer does not lie Externally to us, the answer is inwards, the movement inwards. Who am I? To whom are things happening? Hello Anju, namaste. Could you talk about I thought? Yes. So I thought is the vertical thought that comes up along with the objects of the world. This I thought allows experiencing as I am this, I am that, I know this, I know that. So this I thought is the base substratum from which all movements happen. And while in the movement, we get to know what is the true nature of this I, which is the primary illusion. We get to experience our true nature, which is consciousness or source. Or as Rameshji would say, nominal. The flow of the I thought makes life as we know possible. The realization of the self or the being or the purity of the I thought has to happen within the movement of this I thought, not external to it. Which means that we have to realize consciousness while we are moving in our day-to-day living. When I say moving, what I mean really is not just physical movement, but while the thought, thinking, whatever is happening, at the base there is this knowing that I am consciousness. That is the witness that remains unaffected. That is the pure I or the source. So the thing is, when this I thought inverts on itself, that means when we question who am I, eventually this I thought cannot sustain itself, and then it merges back into its source. And that brings about a profound understanding, because then again when the I thought comes about, it is now dipped in the peaceful presence of the source. So it's never the same again. While externally the person may appear to be the same, internally things are a lot more peaceful. Okay, Ranajit asks, Advaita Vedanta and Shunyavada are the same. I don't know Shunyavada, so I can't comment on that. But Shunya, which is complete blank, is also a state, I would say. But what Advaita is pointing to is pure consciousness, pure awareness, which cannot be attributed, which does not have any attributes. It is beyond the being and the non-being. Now, conceptually, we put it like that. Okay, Siddharth is saying, I have been a spiritual seeker and see things in the world as quite natural. whether it's happiness, pain, or suffering, and feel peace inside but no compassion at all. Please help. I have been a spiritual seeker and see things in the world as quite natural. Whether it's happiness, pain, or suffering, and feel no peace but no compassion at all. Please help. Well, you see, you don't have to worry about compassion. If you don't feel compassion, let that be. But if you feel peaceful inside, that is good enough, because that is the beginning of compassion. So you see, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the idea that I should be compassionate will be followed with another idea of what I should do to be more compassionate, things that we do for compassion. Then the confusion will arise. So, if you are peaceful inside, that is good enough, I would say. That is what even the masters have been pointing to, that if you are peaceful, it's done. Don't worry about uh, being compassionate externally. That will help happen on its own. Okay. Hi. Okay. Some people have visions or come across seers which notify them about future, and if those events are about affluence and opposite to one's ongoing crisis. One may use prophecies as only anchors to survive dark night of the soul, which may later become painful, because true integration doesn't demand any anchors. It strips you naked. So it is safe to believe in. So is it safe to believe in prophecies? Share any personal experience, if any. Well, I haven't actually been to anybody, to be honest. The whole thing about knowing the future or trying to modify is actually not at all in my concern. So, if something is bound to happen, it is going to happen, as Ramana Maharishi said, no matter what you do or don't do. So, the concept is that with the knowledge of beingness, one gets rooted into their most natural state. So, concern with what is going to happen actually dissolves. Now, regarding practical things happening, one can certainly, take some precaution if they want to. But there is, even while taking the precaution, one moves with this knowing that whatever is meant to happen will happen. So that is an act of surrender. It doesn't mean that you cannot plan. You can certainly plan if you want to plan, but plan while knowing that the the outcome, the future is already pre-decided. So that frees you. You see, being in the here and now, in this moment, when there is complete stillness, complete presence, there is no movement of any thought. So there is not much concern with what happened in the past, who I was, or what is going to happen in the future, who I will become. And that is freeing because it starts to eliminate concepts. Okay, Ranajit says, what is your opinion about Vedic astrology? Because I heard that astrology can be of some help to spiritual seekers on their path. I'm sure it is helpful, but honestly, I haven't had much experience, so I can't comment on. I haven't been to an astrologer. Even if I had been, I think must have been very long back. So I don't even remember much. Uh, I remember maybe as a child, we went to an astrologer. My parents showed me to an astrologer. I don't remember what was the conversation. So, and after that, I wasn't much interested. But I'm sure it's helpful. So I won't discard it completely. I say that if you feel that there is some merit in it, definitely go back. Okay, Monil says, hello Jagjot, namaste. I wanted to understand, does the ego die after awakening forever, or one can slip back into it? No, the ego does not die. There is no death for the ego. You see, um, here's the thing, spiritual awakening cracks the structures, and the structures is the part of separation. Ego is also the part of separation. So, the separation, till we are alive in this mind body system complex, it is not going to end as such. But after awakening, because of that crack in the structures, okay, I am this, I am that, I do this, I do that, this is my identity, okay, I am a doctor, I am a lawyer, I have done this, I have done that. All those structures, they are cracked after awakening. So this ego sense, the separation, basically becomes, it loses its solidness, its grip to cling to concepts. So it doesn't die because, if somebody calls you with your name, you do respond. Similarly, if somebody called a sage by their name, for example, Ramana Maharishi, he would respond. So that responding will not happen if the separation is totally gone. For example, if he was in deep sleep, he won't respond. But the I has to be there, the ego has to be there to respond. So, ego is not a problem as such. It is the expansion, the movement of ego in horizontal time as thinking, which creates the problem. That thinking gets destroyed with awakening. What that means is you may still experience moments of pain and pleasure in your daily living. You may experience pain, you may experience hurt, heartbreak, all those things you're going to go through in life. But that is not going to stick to you and bring about guilt, shame, malice, resentment, or hatred towards anyone. Okay, so Akhil says, I'm going crazy through spiritual awakening. Yes, yes, yes. And this can be quite intense because, as I mentioned, the crack in the structure, anything that has been cultivated from the very beginning gets cracked is painful, isn't it? For example, if you, let's say, invest in something, okay, in, let's say, in a stock, or let's say in a property, and the property price crashes, it is going to hurt. Similarly, we invest in our sense of self through acquisition, through accumulation of material, ideas, concepts. So when all of that falls flat, when we get to know the reality that all of it is meaningless, all our efforts to achieve greatness and wholeness and this and that, material progress, uh, spiritual progress, or anything, become better human beings, compassionate human beings, all those ideas get cracked. You really see that there is no escape from this. This is it. So of course it's going to hurt. It's going to pain. But you see that pain, that process is the greatest sadhana, I would say, because it is through that only that clarity comes. and clarity does come. But yes, one cannot bypass that pain. Okay. Okay, Kami says, suppose you are in a crisis and having thoughts about ending the show, God forbid, and someone comes along and say you have a bright future, this and that will happen. How much belief in that is safe to reduce the present pain? Okay, let me, or we just ignore it completely. Suppose you are in crisis. Okay, now in this in this investigation, the first thing that is to be investigated is who is in crisis. Where is the locus of the crisis, right? Because you say I am, let's say I am in crisis. Why am I in crisis? I am in crisis because things are not happening according to my idea, according to the way I imagine life to be. Okay, I want to achieve greatness, I want to achieve this, that, or let's say not even greatness, let's forget about that. I want certain basic things in life, like let's say a romantic partner. I want love. Okay, I want somebody to hold me, and I'm not getting that. I feel that I'm lonely, I'm alone, I'm going to die alone. There's nobody who understands me. So this loneliness is killing me. The crisis is loneliness. But where is this loneliness emerging from? That is the investigation. When you investigate that, what you notice is that what anybody else says, it doesn't make any difference. So they may say you have a bright future, but if you're caught up in the loneliness, you're not even going to believe it. You're going to get back to the depressive thoughts. Or so if you can, yes, you can certainly ignore it if you wish to, but then you must also investigate where is this loneliness arising from. The loneliness is always arising from an image of separation, that I am separate from the rest. I thought of my life in a certain way and it is not going in a certain way and nobody understands me. That is the greatest problem. Nobody understands me, my depth, my problems. Yes, ego loses solidness. That is true. It is still there just because those structures are required to navigate life. For example, if you're hungry, you need to eat food. So you need um, to eat food, you need to, the ego, the separation tells you that the body is hungry and take action. So it's not good or bad. It is just that its expansion as thinking causes suffering. And in some cases, it is meant to happen that way till it loses solidness because of the crack. And then things are different because you may still experience pain, but the suffering is gone then. Because horizontally, you don't live with those structures. If you are understood, it's fine. If nobody understands you, that is also fine. Oh, Chitti's here. My friend Chitti. Hello. Hi, Chitti. How are you doing? Good to see you. Okay, Rana is asking, I would like to know some of your views on rebirth and incarnation. Okay, so I don't think much in terms of rebirth because then again we are talking about who is talking about rebirth or incarnation and why. Generally, this question comes up because there is some attachment to concept. Okay, concept could be that in this life I can do good karmas so that I can sort a better birth in my next life. Okay, but then that's an assumption because that's an assumption. Reason being that you have already evaluated this life from what you have experienced, or from not what you have experienced, but what you have been told. So you may have been told, somebody may have been told that your present birth is not good enough. But then that is all relative, you see. It dep- so I have personally seen people across different spectrums. I've seen people in absolute poverty, very happy. I've seen people in abundance of wealth, money, and extremely miserable, and vice versa also. Not saying that that's a fixed thing, but the thing is, it is your attitude to life that determines your happiness, that determines your peace. So when your attitude to life is that life flows through you are just the instrument and life flows through you, then there is no karma for you. You are free from karma right now in this very instant. So there is no concept of birth or rebirth. It finishes here and now. Because you see, what is dying? What was born? Something that was born here will die in this birth with the body. Now, of course, we have different concepts and different philosophical ideas, and different school of thoughts. So we truly don't know. But personally, I'm not much focused about on the concept of rebirth or incarnation. For me, living in presence in this life to completion is the only thing. So I'm only concerned with this life here and now, which is uh, which to me is the ultimate right now. Okay, Anju is asking, what is the difference between horizontal and vertical thought? Okay, so I'm just going to give you a conceptual explanation. You see, vertical thought, think of it like Shivalingam. Okay, Shivalinga resting on yoni. So, Shivalinga, vertical thought, I am, is the foundation, the beingness, and its horizontal flow, which is manifestation, is the flow of this vertical thought I am into I am this, I am that. You see, but fundamentally they are both the same. It can also be conceptualized as the cross, where the horizontal bar shows the movement of life, and the vertical bar is the vertical thought I am or beingness, where it is simply the peace and calm one experiences here in this moment when one is totally present. Okay. So Adink says, after the crack, I did not have any energy for almost 1.5 years. I was like dead, yet step by step, my energy is getting back, and I feel joy, liveness in my heart. Liveness in my heart seems that I started to enjoy life again. Okay, I think it is okay. You've written more. Wait, hold on. But I don't know if it's coming from ego or life happening through me. However, when I sit still and be present, I feel love in my heart. Yes, of course. So what has happened is that the crack has happened, and you know, 1.5 years. You're better off than me because it took me more than 4.5 years, I would say, and I didn't come across this. I didn't know what was going on, in fact, but I was very receptive, very present, and there were episodes of the highs and the lows. There was a lot of contemplation going on. The mind runs after the crack happens. The mind runs like crazy. It is thinking about things that one never even would think in normal life, because normal life is going to office, taking care of family, doing your routine works, doing your hobbies, this and that. Now I'm thinking about what is the leaf made up of? Why does the sun rise? what is the size of the universe? Where does the universe end? Not from that scientific perspective, but just, what is this? What is life? What is purpose? What is meaning? And there would be fear that I may slip back into the old pattern, the old ways. That fear also comes up sometimes, which is fine. Now, as you say, but I don't know if it's coming from ego or life happening through me. Of course, it is life happening through you, because ego is not a solid entity. It comes and it goes. It is just like a wave rising in the ocean. So, something that is so fleeting, so temporary, cannot make things happen. And of course, when you sit still, you can feel the love in your heart. Now, what happens is that that stillness, that presence, that love of the heart will begin to pervade very soon, even in your daily living as you move around. And you will, even without sitting and contemplating on that, you will be in it while everything else is happening. And that significantly changes the quality of life and brings a lot of peace, a lot of calmness. Hello, Jay. Hi, Bodhi. Martina. Sorry, Martina. Good morning. Okay, Chitti says, hi, Jagjot. Such a sweet prasad to be present for my first live with you and your wonderful community. Thank you for this beautiful satsang. Thank you, Chitti, for joining and, for your kind words. Really appreciate. Thank you so much. Okay. Gauri says, can you please guide us about how to remain detached from all experiences in life? Oh, my dear, why do you want to remain detached from experiences? Life is so beautiful. Situations and people seem to expect our reactions and make us feel weak. How can we realize the presence of God? Okay, now I understand. So, what happens usually is that when we experience hurt in life, okay, which can be loss of a loved one or a heartbreak, in a romantic relationship, or any adversity that befalls us, our first instinct is to say that we must get detached. Okay. Now, again, in all of these investigations, okay, generally, yes, generally the idea is that there is someone who wants to be a certain way. You see, I'm saying I want to remain detached. Why? Because I don't want to feel hurt. I'm protecting myself from something. Now I'm asking, are you the separate entity, separate from that hurt? Or, in other words, this me or I, is it separate from the hurt? If it is separate, then we can talk about detachment. But you see, the moment hurt happens, do you know that you are being hurt? No, you become the hurt, right? Because there is automatically a reaction. When you are reactive, you're not aware of your reaction. You become the reaction, right? So the you, the small you, is the reaction. So when you say, I want to remain detached, it is that I or me which is contemplating that. The only investigation you can do is to revert back into that I. Who wants to become, who wants to be detached, and why? That is the most important. Who wants to not react? When we remain with that I, slowly we get into that, we get into the source, which is the presence of God. Because when that I is not allowed to move, which means We are not concerned, we're not letting the I move here or there. They did this, they did that. If your mind is moving externally, you know, it is saying that my present situation or whatever I'm experiencing in life, the misery, the pain, whatever it is because of others. When I'm saying that, somebody broke my heart. My parents did not give me enough love. This didn't happen my way. My didn't, you know, my friends were not good to me. So you see, what you're doing is you're moving outwards continuously. Let's bring your attention back to this entity, me or I, that wants a certain outcome. So when you remain with this I, the way it is functioning, you will notice that it cannot sustain and it goes back into its source. That is the realization of the presence of God. Okay, Bodhi is saying free of karma in this moment. Of course, but this is the first time I have heard anyone speak of it this way. Profound. Thank you. Thank you, Martina. You see, this moment, the moment doesn't refer to time at all. Uh, time means, time is a flow, okay? And a flow of thought. And thought brings about the sense of doership, which is karma. So I has to be there to do an action. Okay. So when I say I did something, that is when I'm doing the karma. But in this moment, is there a I? The moment you investigate this into this I, you notice that it's actually not there. There is no such concrete entity. Then where is karma? For whom is the karma? And when the karma is gone, then this whole question of rebirth, reincarnation becomes completely meaningless. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, that's also okay. You know, some people would say that, oh, this plane is so tough, earth plane is so tough, I don't want to come here ever again. Now I say, who is this I that doesn't want to come here again? It is an image which thinks that it is the doer. So when it realizes that it is not the doer, then does it make any difference? We are totally free. Okay, slow packer says oh, it can all be boiled down to resisting a feeling. Well, yes. So resistance is the ego, is the separation. So when we resist, it persists. And that persistence, in other words, that intensity creates separation. You know, for example, when you are all relaxed and, completely chilled, let's say, um, completely relaxed, lying down in the sun, enjoying the pleasant weather, do you think that you are happy? Do you resist that? We never resist that. But the moment an emotion comes up, something troubling, and we don't want to feel it, that is when we have created two forces. One is saying, you must not feel this, and other is moving in that other opposite direction. So there is cognitive dissonance. Because of that dissonance, there's stress, there's pain, there's confusion. But the resolution is not to stop the resistance, because to stop the resistance, you would still have to use the same force. It is to just watch the resistance. In that watchfulness, this cognitive dissonance dissolves, you see. So the idea is not to do anything to clear the confusion. The moment you start doing something, you are just creating another force. You're creating more effort, and the resistance will increase. But in watchfulness, in effortlessness, it dissolves. it goes back. See how interesting is this that um, when when we are happy, or let's say when things are going according to our plans, we see everything in alignment. Okay, we say that, oh, uh, I manifested happiness. Universe is, my intuition is working for me. I am intuitive, or universe is with me. Universal energy is with me. God's grace is with me. But the moment things go south, which they always do go south, at that time we never say that it is God's grace. But you see, here's the thing. When things go south, that means when things don't work according to our expectations, our ideas of life, that also is grace of God. And I'm sure you must have experienced it. Sometimes things didn't work according to what you wanted in a given moment. And years later, you realize, thank God that didn't happen. Hasn't that been your experience? Uh, so, grace of God, for what is happening, or things as they are happening, what is, it doesn't run according to our ideas of good and bad or what should and should not be. Acceptance of that is is the realization of the presence of God, or godliness, if you want to call it that. Okay. Okay, Dulal says life is a subjective mental experience, therefore, it is difficult to speak about it in a fixed or universal way for everyone. Each person is unique, and this is what Jiddu Krishnamurti meant by the life is subjective mental experience. Yes, of course, that is true. Therefore, it is difficult to speak about it in a fixed or a universal way for everyone. Of course, that is true. Each person is unique, and this is what Jiddu Krishnamurti meant. Okay. I don't know if that's a question or if that's an expression. Yes, I agree that experiences are all unique for each one of us because of our mental makeup, conditioning, perceptions, formations. But the ability to perceive is common for all of us, which is the foundation of beingness is common for all of us. Like, for example, when thoughts are absent, the presence is the common factor because your presence is not different from my presence. What you experience in deep sleep is exactly what I experience in deep sleep. It is only in the waking state when the I comes up along with the objects of the world that subjectivity takes place, or let's say subjective experience takes place because of colored perception. So the substratum is always the same. Okay, Rana is asking, What are you doing? What are you drinking? Tea or coffee? Okay. So this is chamomile tea, non-caffeinated. I can't have coffee in the evening, otherwise I won't get sleep. Uh, this pack was given to me by one of my friends, and it's been wonderful. Uh, it's wonderful. It helps to relax and sleep better. So Jiddu Krishnamurti meant pathless path. You know, here's the thing about teachers. Everyone will say there is a pathless path, there is a truthless truth, but everybody has their own fixed views. So, yes, it is good to know, uh, to listen to them, to observe what they are saying, but it has to match your own personal experience. So, my personal experience is that whether you call it a pathless path, which is also a path, or you call it something else, um, you cannot deny existence. The experiences may be different, but existence is the common factor. Without existence, no experiencing is possible. So that's the whole thing. And sometimes it just takes a moment to be totally present to what is, to know that to know exactly what that pathless path is, or what truth is are the masters talking about. What is the total vision that is devoid of the observer. That is the core teaching of J. Krishnamurti. There is only pure observation, there is no observer. The collapse of the observer and the observed is the psychological revolution that he speaks about. And that does not require any path, it does not require any practice. All it requires is the total vision to see what is. So, in other words, this whole pain of separation can come to an end right now in this very moment if there is total vision. Now, the thing is, whether you will be able to see it right now is not in your control. So, if you're able to see it, the suffering ends right there because you end right there, because you die before death. But till there is that contemplative thinking entity trying to figure this out, figure the mystery, figure out the mystery of life, trying to fix certain thing, trying to achieve a certain level of truth, till then it remains in suffering, because intellect is part of the whole mind system, and mind system is based out of separation. So Papaji would say that you're not even quiet for a millionth of a second. It takes is a is a millionth of a second to know wholeness or presence of God, whatever you want to call it. And this is what I see all teachers saying. Even Nisargadatta Maharaj would say the same thing. Even J. Krishnamurti said the same thing, but they put it in different words. Okay, Kansrachi says hi, hello. Oops. Okay, Anju is asking, what is experiencing? Increasing memory or solidity of I? Well, you see, ex what is experiencing is this, whatever is arising. What is arising is being witnessed, is being known, right? And it is not, and whatever is arising is not separate from that which is watching it. It is not to increase memory or the solidity of I. The solidity of I increases when there is a filtered experiencing. For example, when I say, uh, when I observe something which is not a fact. Now, let me use Jiddu Krishnamurti's terminology to explain this. Let's say that I'm watching a debate between two political parties, Party A and Party B, and I align with the views of, let's say, Party B. Okay, so what will happen is that when my experience is that, okay, I support Party B only, and I'm listening to this whole debate only from the perspective that Party B should win, right? There, there also the experiencing is happening, but it is being now filtered through the narrow lens of the I. It has already decided the outcome that Party B has to win, no matter what, whether their arguments are logical or not, doesn't matter. But I am with Party B has to win. So, what am I doing? I am basically strengthening my association with Party B or with the idea of Party B. I don't even know what Party B is, but I'm increasing my, strengthening my separation there, my identification there. You know, Party B has to win. I don't care. So whenever then Party B does something which disappoints you or goes against your expectation, there is hurt. You see. So experiencing is just what is happening, witnessing of what is happening without any judgment. It's like watching um, a tennis match without supporting any team. It's just, simply watching. Now you may say, where's the fun in that? And I would say, yeah, there's no fun in that. It's not about fun. So it's just about experiencing what is. What is okay? Dulal says, what is your opinion about Eckhart Tolle, Rupert Spira, and Ramana Maharishi and Balsekar? Thank you. These are very big names, and honestly, I don't know Eckhart, I don't know Rupert, so I can't comment on them. But Ramana Maharishi, of course, Ramesh Balsekar and Ramana Maharishi has been amazing teachers, and there's a lot of reverence towards them. And Ramesh Balsekar was the initial inspiration which led to this understanding, and Ramana Maharishi and Nisargadatta Maharaj, especially, their teachings deepened it. And that is why I created this whole series of I Am That teaching, which I have interpreted as a concept for you all to investigate. And I think it's a series of around 44, 45 videos, and I'm planning to add more to that in the time to come. So all in all, I don't see much difference between, they're all saying the same thing. The destination is the same, you know, all the river merging back into the ocean. So the characteristics and attributes of the rivers may be different, but their destination is ultimately the same. So, whatever path brings you peace is your path. It can be the pathless path, it can be the path of jnana, it can be bhakti, it can be karma. I don't see any separation in any of those paths also. Okay, Abhishek is saying watching is difficult sometimes. We remain human body organism. Yes, that happens when identification with the separation is strong. So the thing is, first of all, I have to know myself, who I am, really. And that is why um, when the crack happens, that me or I is not so solid anymore. And that is when actually the witnessing starts happening. Or I would say watchfulness. I won't use the term watching or observing. I would say watchfulness begins to happen. It's like you're not at all concerned with what is happening. But till you are identified yourself as the limited human organism and you think that is your only reality, then it will be painful. That's why I said that till it happens, it is going to be painful and it is going to be like that. There's nothing you can do. But you can simply investigate. At least that much grace has been given. And you never know when that investigation brings about the crack. Okay. Jyoti says, I'm currently struggling with a decision making process. I'm not able to proceed with marriage decision because there is a natural resistance towards arranged marriage, but there are needs that arise when we are alone. Okay, so the whole idea here is that where is that resistance arising from? So when we are alone, there are sensations and there are emotions that arise. Of course, at the base level, even the emotions are sensations only. So there is this idea that I must be with somebody, I must have a life, um, I must have somebody to take care of me, feel whole. But then again, I can question, is it really that I feel whole through another person? Because from what I've seen, sometimes that aloneness does not even go even after getting married or being in a relationship. On the other hand, if you have, let's say, a romantic partner or a husband or a wife who feels whole, just like you, then both of you can celebrate wholeness. That is a wonderful life. Now, uh, I'm not personally very keen for arranged marriage. Uh, in fact, to be honest, I do not believe much in the institution of uh, marriage, but I'm not totally opposed to it also. But I would say that take your time, um, take your time to know the person at least, and the decision making process will be easier. Because see, sometimes uh, getting married to a person where there is no alignment can be worse than being alone. So you see, it is always better to know the person, even if it is arranged. If you can ask your parents that both of you can spend time together to know each other, you know, see the behavior, see if you're really compatible. That can be, I mean, this is just what is coming to my mind. So I don't know much about this process. All right. Yes. Yes, Ishan. Hello. Hi, good to see you here. Okay, Yash is saying crack is very painful. Yes, buddy, crack is painful. Crack is painful. But you see, there will be a time when you will say, thank God it happened. No matter how painful this path is. You see, here's the thing. This whole happening, which conceptually I call spiritual awakening, there is no such thing as spiritual awakening, but I conceptually use that um, use that term. It is basically this very understanding that something has formed, okay, which does not have a very concrete existence. So when that falls, gets cracked and destroyed, yes, it feels very hurtful in the moment. For example, like if you have a needle thrust into your foot, it is going to hurt, of course. So when you take that needle out of the foot, also it's going to hurt, isn't it? But if you don't take out the needle in the fear that it's going to hurt you will keep limping for the rest of your life. So the thing is, no matter how painful this crack is or the process of awakening is, when it happens, one accepts that with full humility and grace. And it and and there is this understanding that it's okay. Let it be as painful as you want it to be. But I'm going to go through this. I'm going to endure this. That said, it is okay to take help from professionals. It is okay to talk to somebody. It is okay to be a part of a spiritual community. Anything which can help reduce the pain can be taken. Right? All right. Okay. Andreas is saying hello. I would love your share about what it's called radical non-dualism, where basically there is nothing but this, there is no you, and any hope to realize the self is just the same as I wanting. Okay. Oh, uh, I would also, I would like also to know what is your thought about J. Krishnamurti. Thanks. Okay, let me read that again. Radical non-dualism. You see, um, this whole thing about non-duality. Okay, I personally don't like it because this is also uh, a fixated thinking. It is like non-duality is the solution to all your problems. Now, if you listen to my talks, you will notice that I don't talk about in the absolute terms that this is it, there has to be this view. I'm just presenting my concept and I'm giving you the flexibility, the option, complete freedom to reject it if it doesn't resonate with you. But, um, and I'm sure even the so called radical non dual teachers do that. But I feel that there is a place to be compassionate towards human expression too, to be compassionate towards human emotions too. So, as we say, meeting people where they are is also an act of compassion. So, sometimes people are not at that level where they can be guided absolutely to the absence of the separative entity. So, you talk to them in terms of the language they understand. And this is what Nisargadatta Maharaj also did. When he went to the villages, he never spoke about that concept, non dualism, because he knew those people are not in a position to understand that. And that was his act of compassion. Somebody would come to him for blessings, he would give blessings. Even Ramana Maharishi did the same thing. Somebody would come to him and they would say, I do these practices, I do this, I do that. He would say, okay, keep going on, continue. He never discouraged them. He never discouraged anybody from pursuing any path. And I think that is an act of compassion. To say that, oh, non duality is the ultimate and it is the ultimate truth, it is only going to set you free. is basically indoctrination. It's basically, again, all I say is I'm presenting a concept. You you have to investigate. I'm not going to investigate for you. You have to investigate whether it brings peace. In the end, it is all about companionship. It is all about the peace that is experienced. It is not about gaining anything. Any teaching, you know, that increases the separation, creates suffering, isolates people, in my opinion, I don't resonate personally with such teachings. For example, if you talk to me about miracles, I may be compassionate, and in that compassion, I may tell you, okay, wonderful, beautiful. But to be honest, any story of miracle, whether some guru or teacher predicted your future, through their psychic powers, or there were teachers who, you know, floated in the sky, or, you know, for me, none of that matters at all. Because generally, what I see, even people who have certain psychic powers, they lose compassion because they are full of arrogance because of that small thing. There is a beautiful story about Guru Nanak on this, but I'm not going to cover it now because we are already running late. So we're just going to now conclude. Um, Hold on. Uh, okay, Jyoti, thank you so much for your contribution. All right. Um, okay, Abhishek says sometimes witness becomes purposeless. Yes, exactly. And that purposelessness is the exact freedom that is witnessing. Okay. So what about survival, which has included money, politics, awareness, doesn't go with socially. Okay. What about survival? What has survival got to do with money, politics? Yes, it doesn't go usually, but there can be awareness. Can there be money without awareness? Can there be politics without awareness? If you want to be a politician, you can be a politician with good awareness. You see, so you can be a compassionate politician too. Okay, Moni is asking, what is the role of karma in awakening and self-realization? So the role of karma is that, okay, let me read the full comment. If karma has to reach at a certain point for the separation to happen, then what is the role of sadhana? In essence, is awakening predestined? Yes. So my concept is that the awakening is predestined. And the role of sadhana is that it brings the ego to a point where the crack happens. And the moment that crack happens, there is this realization that nobody was doing the sadhana and that sadhana as a concept was only happening. So before the awakening, okay, again, all concept, I'm only talking concept, okay. Before the awakening, there is a sadhak or sadhika, okay, a practitioner, okay, male, female practitioner, doing a practice. After awakening, it is realized that nobody did practice, practice was happening. So the moment that crack happens in the structure, all karma dissolves at that point in time. So the role of karma is simply to basically see, karma comes with the sense of individuality. Okay, it is tied to the sense of individuality. Till there is that sense of individuality in strength, in strong grasping, there will be pain. Okay. Now, at the point where that crack happens, the individuality is now shaken up. It is still there, but it is now not that solid. So, that losing of that solidness is self-realization or awakening. So, yes, you're right. It is predestined. Okay, Jyoti is saying in an organic way of finding someone for marriage, but in that there are too many complications like different states, caste, age, etc. Convincing family members is another different difficult process. Oh my dear. Yes, yes, I know, I know. Well, I don't know. I don't have a solution for that, but all I can say is, you know, generally families are caught up in these things, caste, state, age, this and that. So, well, it's up to you. You know, um, if you wish, you can challenge that and question that, or it depends on your temperament. It depends on how you think about it, because you know, God has created one unique expression, which is Jyoti. There is no other Jyoti like this one. Okay, we all are unique. Isn't it brilliant? So now with this concept that you are unique, use that mind, use that strength to ask questions, to question them. And trust me, parents, I have my parents, I have questioned them many times. They may be upset in the moment, but they can never hate you because you are their child. They do love you. But you see, sometimes it is required to question because it's a matter of life. So I wish you all the best in that endeavor, and I hope things work out for you as you wish them to be or not. All right. Hello. Okay. Okay. I think I'm just going to take uh, one more last, one or two more last comments, and then I'm going to end this talk. What to do when you are going from a phase where presence is not in the forefront and the mind is extremely active again and effort doesn't work? One can slightly observe that there is avoidance, okay, but it feels like, have I fallen back into unconsciousness and and regressed? So see, all Akshat, all these ideas about you have regressed. Okay, I'm saying I have regressed. You are the knower. Okay, you are the one who's observing all of this. The presence cannot go anywhere, you know, and all these are just concepts that it is in the foreground, it is in the background. You see, this shift is also being observed. So you are that, the untouched observer. The only, yes, effort doesn't work. What is effort? Effort is resistance. Effort is exactly what you're writing right now. Am I regressing? Am I, you know, the concern is, am I doing the right thing or not? And here's the idea. Even the Bhagavad Gita says so. You cannot do the right thing or the wrong thing because you are not the doer. It says in the Bhagavad Gita. So, what you can do is just watch what is happening, what is coming to the foreground, what is going into the background. And that watching is effortless. You don't have to put effort at all. The moment effort arises, it may arise as resistance. The I rises up as resistance. Am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Is there avoidance? Is there slight observance or this or that? Bring yourself here. Just bring yourself here. That's it. Here is being your home. This never leaves. I hope that helps. Okay. Are you being ambitious, chasing success, ego driven in earlier phases of life? What made you change your living life now? Oh, yes, I was ambitious and I was ego driven in my earlier phase of life. And what changed me was constant pain, constant suffering, because every time, every time, you know, I stumbled, I fell, I got hurt. Every time I achieved something, I thought it's permanent. And slowly I realized that none of this is permanent at all. It keeps changing. So, ultimately, what is that I truly want? That question was burning in my heart, and that started the investigation. All right, okay. Humble Abhishek says, my humble request in your future videos, please talk about UG Krishnamurti. Okay, buddy. I don't know much about. I mean, I've just read a little bit about him. I don't know honestly much about UG Krishnamurti, but whatever little I've read about him, I will definitely share. Okay. All right, Bodhi. Martina, love you. Love you too. Love you too. Love all of you. Thank you so much. All right. I think I will now. Okay, Abhishek, thank you so much for your contribution. All right. I wish you all a very good morning or good evening wherever you are, and take very good care of yourself. Uh, okay, Chitti is saying, thank you, Jagjot, for offering presence towards supporting the self exploration for us 2026 seekers. Was lovely time of satsang with your Sangha. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chitti, for that beautiful message, the perfect way to conclude this talk. And thank you all for being here and being part of this wonderful presence and wonderful interaction. Take care and love you all.